Hello everyone, how are you? Your favorite photographer Akshay here, and welcome to the Basic Photography series. One thing that makes your photo look professional to most of the people is a blurry background. And in this video we are going to be talking about how we are going to achieve it and what is the concept of depth of field. Depth of field refers to the area of the photograph that appears relatively sharp. It is determined by three factors: the aperture, the focal length, and the distance between the camera and the subject. First, we will understand how aperture controls the depth of field. But before going ahead, if you want to learn more about aperture, I will mention the link of my aperture video in the description below. You can go and check it out. One of the primary factors that affect the depth of field is aperture. If you are shooting on a wider aperture like f1.8, you will get a very shallow depth of field. That means a very small portion of the image will be in focus and the rest of it will be blurry. A narrower aperture opening such as f16 will create deep depth of field. That means more of the image will be in focus from the foreground to the background. Now let's understand how focal length affects the depth of field. The focal length of a lens also helps in determining the depth of field. The longer the focal length, the shallower the depth of field. For example, a portrait lens of 85 mm at f1.8 will create a very shallow depth of field. It will help to isolate the subject from the blurry background. The distance between the camera and the subject also determines the depth of field. The closer the subject to the camera, the shallower the depth of field is going to be, even at the narrower aperture. Conversely, farther away the subject from the camera, the deeper the depth of field is going to be. You can understand this by a small example. Close one of your eyes and keep a finger in front of your eye which is open, and just bring the finger closer to your eye. You will notice the background will get blurrier as you bring your finger near to your eye. Depth of field can be used creatively to isolate your subject from the background, create a sense of depth and dimensionality, and blur the distracting backgrounds. I would suggest the beginners to experiment with different aperture settings, focal lengths, and distance between the camera and the subject to achieve desired depth of field. Now let's use all three factors together to see how you can achieve a shallower depth of field. If you are starting off with photography and you have an entry-level DSLR or a mirrorless camera with a kit lens, I would suggest you to shoot at the longest focal length that is available to you and at the widest open aperture that your lens can open to. Or if your lens allows, shoot at aperture value wider than f2.8. It will help you get shallow depth of field and in turn blurrier background. So there you have it, an explanation of depth of field in photography. Understanding how the aperture, the focal length, and the distance affect the depth of field can help you create stunning photographs with the sense of depth and dimensionality. Don't forget to experiment with different settings to achieve the desired depth of field. I also mentor people. If you want to learn photography personally from me, you can send me an email. I will mention the email address in the description below. You can also follow us on our Instagram. The handle is on the screen. And you can also follow me on my personal Instagram. The handle is again on the screen. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, please give it a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Ray Photography. I will see you guys in the next one.